Now ready to move into the 6 individual days of creation. And what verse 1 and 2 does is to serve as the introduction to the 6 days of creation. It introduces the 7 steps of God's creative work for the 6 days of creation. And so all the 6 days have a certain format they follow. That's one reason why the first day cannot be at verse 1 or verse 2. It has to start at verse 3. Now the first step is the introductory creative word, and God said. And each day except for the 7th day, which is not a day of creation, begins with this phrase. Now the second step is the fiat, let there be. In Hebrew it is just one word. The third step is the fulfillment, and there was. Also in Hebrew it's only one word. In the fourth step, the action itself is described, and God made. The first step is the act of naming or blessing, and God called, and God blessed. The sixth step is God's evaluation, containing an expression of divine satisfaction, and God saw that it was good. And the seventh step is the terminus. And it was evening, and it was morning, day, followed by the number. So this is going to be the 7-stage format for all 6 days. And again, that would show why the first day was not at verse 1 and verse 2, but only with verse 3. One more point needs to be discussed before dealing with the actual 6 days of creation, relative to the Hebrew word for day, which is yom. People who want to fit Genesis 1 into evolutionary and geological theories try to claim the word yom does not have to mean a 24-hour day, but could mean a longer period of time, even millions of years. Now, it is true that when the word yom is used by itself, it could mean a longer period of time, though no example exists where it means millions of years. For example, the Day of Jehovah is a period of 7 years. However, when the word is used with a number or numeral, it always means 24-hour days. And throughout Genesis 1, each time the word yom is used, it is used with a number or numeral, day 1, day 2, and so on. This alone shows that the days of Genesis are 24-hour days. However, there's also more. Not only is the word day followed by a numeral, which means 24 hours, it's also followed by the phrase evening and morning, and this phrase again limits it to 24 hours. Furthermore, the Sabbath law as given to Israel in the law of Moses is based upon the 6 days of creation and the 7-day rest. These laws would become meaningless if these were not 24-hour days. Finally, with the 4th day, there is the mention of days, years, signs, and seasons, showing that already within Genesis 1, there are normal systems of time in operation. These terms also become meaningless if these were not normal 24-hour days. By itself, Genesis chapter 1, verse 2 says nothing insofar as being an old earth or young earth, and the evidence for one or the other must be based upon arguments outside of this verse, but does not either favor or teach either a young earth and old earth, at least that concept blank. However, the 6 days of creation were literally 24-hour days. Now, the first day is described in chapter 1, verses 3 through 5, and the work of the first day in verse 3 begins with the phrase, and God said, and this is the way all 6 days of creation will begin. This symmetry shows that the first day begins in verse 3, and verse 1 and 2 are not part of the first day of creation. Furthermore, the work of the Logos, the Word of God, as John chapter 1, verses 1 through 3 points out, this is a specific work of God. In Psalm 33, verse 6, God writes, by the word of Jehovah were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. What God said was, let there be light, and the result was, and there was light. The light which came into existence on the first day is distinct from the light of the sun. The sun will not be created until the 4th day. What this did was to provide light for the first 3 days, and this is a necessary step because of the darkness that was upon the face of the deep, and the darkness was part of the chaos of verse 2. This light was probably the Shekinah, the Shekinah glory light, the light mentioned in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6, seeing it is God that said, "Light shall shine out of darkness," who shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Yeshua the Messiah.
The full length of this particular video presentation is 50 minutes. This brief sample should help to demonstrate the depth and quality of these teachings and recordings. There are 22 video lectures, over 10 hours of teaching content for this course on the Book of Genesis. To order this or another online course, visit us at www.arielcollege.com.